Yeah, I almost got raped. Well, let me explain. Let me explain. You know what I'm saying? So, this is a story time. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like this is some of the most craziest shit that ever happened to me. So pretty much, I'm gonna make it short for y'all, short and sweet. I was in LA, you know, filming a movie called My Girlfriend's Back, starring Malik Yoba. Y'all can look it up, you know what I'm saying? Tangi Miller, Malik Yoba. It was a romantic comedy, you know, and I was on the production end of things, you know what I'm saying? Plus I made a little cameo in the movie, but like I said, y'all can check that out. But yeah, man, I was living in LA for about maybe 4 or 5 months, and we was filming a movie or whatever, you know. On my days off, you know, I would hook up with some of my friends or whatever the case may be. And on this particular day, we decided to go to the gym to work out. So it was three of us. We went to the gym, we worked out, we had a good workout. When we left, everybody was tired. Nobody wanted to drive, you know what I'm saying? So it was my homeboy's car. He said, yo, you know, I ain't driving, I'm too tired, I'm sore or whatever. It was a little joke or whatever. So I said, man, y'all playing around, let me drive. Because I needed to get back to set. So, you know, I drive or whatever the case may be. I didn't have a license, you know what I'm saying? But I'm thinking, you know what I'm saying, we just going back to the house or whatever the case may be. So I'm not going to be behind the wheel for a long time. I didn't think nothing of it. So we driving or whatever. If you know LA traffic, you know how it could get or whatever the case may be. We needed to take a left turn or whatever. So my homeboy told me to get in the other lane and turn or whatever the case may be. And I wasn't supposed to be in that lane to turn. So I go to make a left and I get pulled over. I get whoop whoop, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Now, at the time I had a warrant for my arrest in Ohio. And I knew it, but it was like, okay, I'm all the way in LA. I don't think they're going to do nothing. It's just, you know, maybe they'll just give me a ticket or a warrant or whatever the case may be. They ran my name. I didn't have a driver's license. So they took my ID, ran my name, and they found out that I had a warrant for my arrest in Ohio. So they said that they had to arrest me and hold me, you know, for Ohio because they wanted to see me. So Ohio was supposed to extradite me back, you know, to Cleveland. So I don't know if you from LA or if you ever been to LA. LA County Jail is one of the most infamous jails ever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's Rikers Island, there's LA County Jail, but LA County Jail is like known for gangs. It's just infected with gangs. You know what I'm saying? And I remember I had on some blue socks at the time. I have all these tattoos on me and stuff like that. So when we get to LA County Jail, I'm thinking like, yo, what did I do, man? I'm like, I'm out here working. I done messed up, you know what I'm saying? Now I'm about to get shipped all the way back to Ohio. Like I really fucked up pretty much. So, you know, we go through the whole processing thing or whatever the case may be. They fingerprint me and stuff like that. So, you know, the officer, the correction officer that's there, he asked me what gang I'm in, you know, and I say, what? I ain't in no gang. What you talking about? You know what I'm saying? He like, okay, if you in the gang and I send you to the wrong pod, they gonna bomb on you. And I was like, bomb on me? He was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Y'all coming here, y'all don't want to. He was like, what gang you in? I'm like, I'm not in the gang. He was like, okay. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yo, he tripping. You know what I'm saying? He was like, okay, so I'm gonna just send you to whatever pod and whatever happens. And I'm like, man, whatever. I'm like, this ain't even no gang tattoo. He seen like the stars on me and stuff like that, 5-point stars or whatever. And they trained to know what that kind of stuff is. For me, a star is just, nigga, I'm a star. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, I ain't in no gang. I was telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? But I think the blue socks threw him off and the tattoos or whatever the case may be. So, you know, I go through the process and whatever. They put me on the scrubs and the, you know, the county blues or whatever the case may be. And I get my phone call. So the first person I called is my cousin who lived out in LA at the time, and she was also a producer on the film that I was working on. So I'm telling her like, yo, I got arrested. I don't know what's gonna happen. I might get sent back to Cleveland, for a warrant. And she like, dang, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, man. I tell her like, the officer is talking about what gang you in and pressing me and all this kind of stuff. I told him I ain't in no gang or whatever. He like, if they send me to the wrong pod, they gonna bomb on me. So she immediately got nervous. She was like, oh my God, like, you can't be fighting up in there. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, they gonna try to jump you and this and that, and your attitude. And I was like, man, if people press me out, I'ma fight. You know what I'm saying? She was like, I think you should go to the gay pod. I never knew what a gay pod was, that they had a gay pod or whatever the case may be. And I was like, the gay pod? She was like, yeah, tell them you gay so they could like send you somewhere else. And I was like, nah, man, you know what I'm saying? Me being from Cleveland, I thought that was like a chump route. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, I'm like, no, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? If they press me, then we just gonna have to fight. So I started thinking about it, and I'm like, man, I'm out here working. I didn't think that they was gonna extradite me. I was talking to some other people. They was like, man, Ohio ain't gonna come get you. That's too far. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna let you out after about a week or whatever. If they don't come get you, they'll let you out. So I was like, okay, so if I get out, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to be up in here fighting. I want to go back to set and just do what I'm supposed to do while I'm out here. So I said, I swallowed my pride, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and, tell them that I'm gay and go to a gay pod. So, I go to the officer or whatever, and I tell him, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm gay or whatever. And they didn't believe me. You know what I'm saying? They was like, nah, you not. And I was like, yes, I am. And they was like, no, you not. And I'm like, dude, like, I am. They was like, well, I don't believe you. Are you just saying that you gay so you could go to, because you scared to go to a regular unit or whatever? And I was like, I'm not scared, man. I'm just telling y'all what it is. Like, I am gay. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if you from LA, leave a comment in the comments down below, because this whole process. I don't know if you ever been to that pod or whatever, but you know how it is. They have a special team or something to figure out if you gay before they send you to the gay pods or whatever the case may be. So they send me to this unit or whatever the case may be. And I know I keep saying whatever the case may be. That's just my word. But I'm gonna try not to say it that much. But yeah, they send me to these people. It was two white guys, and they had like all this gay lingo and all these terms and different clubs from different cities, and they was more gay than a gay person. They knew everything. So they sit me down and they interview me. So this is the gay interview to see if you really gay. So they asked me weird questions like what clubs do you go to? So of course I was like, I don't go out. You know what I'm saying? It was like, you've never been out. I was like, I mean, yeah, I've been out. They was like, name some clubs in New York. And I was like, I really couldn't think of none, but I think I came up with one or whatever the case may be. But I think I came up with one. And they was like, okay, I guess they had that on their list or whatever. Then they started asking me different like gay terms and terminology and lingo. They was like, so what is a butch queen? And I was like, a butch queen? I was like, I guess that's somebody that's supposed to be, acting butch, but they really feminine, and then, I guess I passed that one. Then they asked me again, like another question, what is a fag hag and, different things. And I'm like, okay, a lot of these terms I heard before, you know what I'm saying? So I think I passed that, but I still don't think they believe me. So they asked me, am I in a relationship or, am I a top or a bottom? They asked me, am I in a relationship? And I told them, yeah, I'm in a relationship, you know what I'm saying, which I was at the time. They asked me who was I in a relationship with and this and that. So after talking to these people for about 45 minutes, I guess they determined that, okay, he might be gay, and they sent me to the gay pod. Now, this is where the thing get interesting. This is where the story begins. I've been in the county jail in Cleveland. I've been at Rikers Island. I stayed in Rikers Island for a month. I always took it the thug route. I thugged it out, went to whatever pod, you know. But I'm thinking, okay, this is different. So they send me to the gay pod. Man, when I tell you, when I walked to the gay pod, this was like something I never seen in my life. I mean, it was literally like the Twilight Zone. You know, they give you your mattress and your toothbrush and toothpaste and your little soap and a roll of toilet paper and things like that. So I go to the gay unit, and when you go there, you know, they got to assign you a bunk. So you walk in and you stand in the front by the, you know, the officers, you know what I'm saying, the correction officers or whatever they call it, you know. You stand by there and they wait to assign you to a bunk that's empty. So I'm standing there with my mat and my stuff like that. And when I tell you, the moment I walked onto that pod, I felt like Tupac, because all eyes was on me. I'm not lying. I'm not trying to be, you know, whatever the case may be. Everybody started looking at me. I mean, and I could hear, ooh, like, who's that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Whispers and, you know, eyes and oohs and quiet and, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just standing there, you know what I'm saying? I'm from Cleveland. I'm a, you know what I'm saying? I'm a nigga. So I'm standing there just looking like whatever. I ain't looking at nobody in particular. I'm just waiting on them to give me my, you know, my bunk. You know, some old man was walking around or whatever the case may be, circling around. He circled around a couple of times and then he stopped in front of me and he gave me a book. He was like, here. And I was like, looked at him like, what's this? And he was like, oh, you might need something to read. You can have that. And I was like, okay, you know what I'm saying? I didn't want to be like, nah, you know, I'm good. I don't need that. So I just took the book. But in my mind, I was like, yo, he mad friendly. Like, why he giving me a book? When I tell you the people that I seen like some transsexual man with titties and looked like his perm was running out. And I mean, ugly people. I mean, it was toe up. Like, I ain't gonna even lie. You know what I'm saying? You know, this community got a lot of beautiful people, but I think the ones that was in this pod in this particular moment was like toe down. I was like, yo, this cannot be real life. Like, I would have rather go to the straight pod where it would at least, you know what I'm saying, some sexy niggas or something to look at. This was terrible. I mean, I never seen nothing like it in my life. I mean, white guys, black guys, men with titties, feminine guys, fat people. It was just everything. And I was just like, oh my God, why did I come to this pod? But I'm thinking, okay, you know, I'm going to just be here for a few days. It's better than going to a gang-infested pod and niggas asking me what set I'm claiming and, you know, trying to jump me or whatever. So, so they assigned me a bunk. So when they assigned me a bunk, you know, I go to the bunk and I noticed that it was bunk beds and two of them was pushed together making one bed. I mean, it's like a twin size bed, but I guess when you push two of them together, it makes it like a queen size or whatever. And the guy down on the bottom bunk came to me and was like, if you like my dude, you could go to another pod. And I looked at him, I was like, what? And he was like, I said, if you like my dude, you could go to another pod. And you know, I said, I don't even know your dude. Like, what is you talking about? I was like, I ain't trying to fuck with nobody in here. And he just looked at me, he was like, I'm just letting you know. And I was like, that was like the weirdest shit. I'm like, nigga, if I like your dude, I could go to another pod. That's the first thing a nigga came up to me and he pressed me with. So I'm like, oh shit, it's gonna be some bullshit. And then I didn't like the fact that you pushed the bunk that I'm sleeping on next to it. So that means that the top bunk is next to whoever's sleeping on there. And I didn't know who was sleeping on it at the time because I guess they were somewhere else in the pod. You know, and then he says to me, oh yeah, your bunkie gonna like you. And I was like, you know, so I put my, you know, mat up there and put my sheet on there and, you know, put my toilet paper and everything up there. And I hopped up on the bunk and, you know, I was sitting there, you know, maybe about 30 minutes later, you know, the guy who was sleeping next to me came and he introduced himself. He was like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "What's up?" Now, he wasn't as bad as a lot of the people that was in the pod. So I was thanking God for that, because I didn't know what I would do if it was like a man with tits, or, you know, transgender, or some flaming queen. I didn't know what I would do if one of them was sleeping next to me. I was literally praying to God, like, "God, please don't let one of these crazy looking people be sleeping next to me." This guy, he was a younger dude. You know, he looked like he was about in his 20s, like a mixed dude. He wasn't bad looking, but he looked like he'd been through some things. And, you know, when he was talking to me, you know, I noticed that his teeth was rotted out, like, just rotted. Like, and I was just looking like, yo, you know what I'm saying? And right off the back, he told me, you know, he asked me what I was in there for. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I do movies. I'm just out here doing a film. I got pulled over, got a warrant in Ohio. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be here long. He told me he was in there for, you know, drugs and stuff like that. And he told me that he smoked crystal meth. And he explained that's why his teeth was rotted out. And I was like, what? Like, crystal meth? I'd never met somebody so young that was like going on drugs on crystal meth. And I was like, "It do that to your teeth?" And he was like, "Yeah, like it rots your teeth out and this and that." And I was like, wow, you know what I'm saying? He was like, you know, he trying to get off of it and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, cool. He didn't stink. It was nothing like that. So I was like, okay, I don't mind. You know, I know these people, him and this dude or whoever, they trying to sleep together. So I was like, I ain't going to make that an issue. Long as this dude on the top bunk don't touch me, we good. You know, so I was happy. You know, I got to, you know, count my blessings pretty much. So that day was going along. I guess the dude who told me not to, if I like his boyfriend, I could go to another pod. His boy was at court. So they came back from court. When I tell you, when I seen this dude that he was telling me if I like, I could go to another pod. This was the biggest, most flaming Cheeto I ever seen in my life. Like, I was looking like, my dude, really? Like, you think I would like this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was a whole nother different person back then. Like, I just could not relate to nothing that was in there. I was just like, why am I here? You know, I looked at the dude and I was like, what? Like, but that whole story got even crazier. So I'm sitting on my bunk or whatever the case may be. And, you know, I'm chilling. I'm not socializing with nobody. I'm not trying to talk to nobody. You know, that day go past, I go to sleep. Everything's good. So the next day, you know, it's just a regular day. Like I say, I stayed on my bunk for the first couple days. I didn't say nothing to nobody. I was very quiet. Then some other guy comes over to my bunk and he says, "Yeah, man, I like you, but I can't talk to you." And I was like, what? What? Like, literally, I was like, where'd that come from? Like, I wasn't attracted to dude. I ain't looking dude. Like, why you coming up to me telling me you like me, but you can't talk to me like as if I wanted to talk to you? So I just looked at him and I was like, oh, really? You know, he was like, yeah, man, I can't talk to you because my bunkie like you and he big as fuck. And I was like, yo, bunkie. And he was like, yeah. He was like, I was like, who is your bunkie? And he pointed to some dude who was walking around the pod, circling around the pod with a push mop, cleaning up the pod. And I was like, oh yeah. He was like, yeah, man, I can't talk to you, so sorry. And I was like, okay, you know. And when he told me that, I started paying attention to the dude, you know, who was circling around the pod. And every time he walked around the pod, he would look at me, but he'd be mean mugging me, like looking at me like, so, you know, I just looked at him back like, you know, every time he walked past, I'm looking like, you know, it wasn't no smiles, wasn't nothing. He just walking past and he'd just look at me like, and I'm looking back like, you know, it's like, nigga, what's good, you know? And I told my bunkie, I was like, Yeah, man. Some dude came up to me talking about somebody like me, and he liked me, but he can't talk to me because his bunkie like me. And I told him who he was, and he was like, oh, that's the pod leader. And I was like, the pod leader? And he was like, yeah, he run this pod. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, like everybody got to go through him. If any fights break out, he calm it down. He also cleans the pod, and he makes sure everybody cool on the pod, you know. And he told me like the dude could fight. Like I was like, how you get a pod leader? Like they appointed him pod leader. And he was like, nah, he just beat up people, and he been here the longest, so he, you know, runs the pod. Everything goes through him. And he was like, that's a good person to have like on your team. And I was like, really? He was like, yeah, man, he got hands too. Like he ain't to be fucked with. And I was like, I ain't worried about it. So the dude just kept staring at me, never said nothing. So we was pretty much just me mugging each other for a whole day. You know, so, you know, later on in the night, he was cleaning up again. And, you know, because it was one of them big pods where it was just bunks everywhere. You didn't have different cells. He kept on looking at me. So I'm mean mugging him, looking back. You know, I'm not going to look away. You know, like, you looking at me, so I'm looking at you. What's up? You know, so he finally broke, and, like, he walked past and he smiled, like, and I'm like, okay, so now the nigga want to smile, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, okay, so I know it ain't no beef or nothing because the nigga smiling or whatever the case may be. So I'm like, okay, you know, like, I'm not trying to talk to him. Like, I wasn't attracted to him. You know, it was weird, the whole situation. So the next day, they making a breakdown. If you ever been to the county or prison or jail or whatever, you know, the food that they give y'all, or give us, because I was in there at the time, it ain't worth a damn. I didn't have no commissary. I think I had some money on my books that I had in my pocket or whatever the case may be, but I didn't have money or whatever the case. So and I wasn't going to be there long. So they was making breakdowns. The dude who came and said he liked me, but he can't talk to me because his bunkie liked me, they was making a breakdown. So they called me over there. They like, yo, come eat with us. And I'm like, nah, I'm cool. So my bunkie, he was up there and he was like, you ain't gonna go eat with him? And I was like, nah, man, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? He was like, they gonna find that disrespectful. He was like, you should at least like go have some of it. And I was like, it's disrespectful if I don't go eat with him? Like, I don't want none of that. I don't know them like that. He was like, yeah, but they calling you over there because they think you cool. Like, if you turn it down, they gonna look at you like an enemy. And I was like, so I should go over there and eat? And he was like, yeah. He was like, it'd be good though, like you should try it. And I was like, man, let me go over here, man. So I hopped up off the bunk or whatever, and I walked over there. They made me some of the breakdown. I'm eating or whatever the case may be. And you know, once I finished, I was like, thank y'all, you know what I'm saying? And I went back, but I really ain't even want to get into all that eating with y'all and taking books and doing all that, because it's like, I don't want to get into that whole jail politics and now you owe me and y'all coming to ask me for something because I ate with y'all. But you know, he said, you know, go do it. So I was like, you know, let me go do it, man. I ate with them and came back to my bunk. And it was this one queen, man, that used to be walking around just roasting people. I mean, he looked like, he was very feminine, but he was like, just like reading people, like everybody. He didn't have real tits, but he was so fat, he looked like he had tits. Oh, but let me tell y'all this, man. On that gay pod, every night when it switched over to like the third shift, I think it was like 6 o'clock or maybe to like 6 in the morning, the wardrobe changed. I mean, before they have on the regular, you know, suits that they give y'all, when that shift changed, man, when I tell you, they turned their t-shirts into like halter tops and bras and panties, and man, literally, I was like, yo, this cannot be real life. I mean, you seen sheets go up on the bunks, like people fucking, you could hear it at night. I mean, it was like insane. I don't think that type of stuff go on the straight pod. Like, I know it don't. Like, sheets up, people fucking in the shower. You could hear moans and groaning and people jacking off in the middle of the night. I mean, literally, it was like I would have been better off on a straight pod. Like, that's more my speed. I was like, yo, this cannot be real. I sat up on that bunk just looking at everybody like I just thought I was in another world, you know. So, like I was saying, the dude with the titties, just the fat dude with the titties, not the one with the implants, because there was one of them two walking around talking shit. But he was, you know, he walked around and he kept on saying stuff to me like, when you gonna get off that bunk? Like, you've been on that bunk for 2 days and this and that. And I was like, nah, I'm good. He was like, just get off. And he came and grabbed me and was like, come walk with me. And pulled me, and I was like, yo, but I just did it. I was like, man, let me just walk around with this dude. So I'm walking around in the circle, and while he walking around, he reading people, man. He telling one dude like, who you talking to, bitch? You got 1 T cell left in your body, and that's the, like, just reading people. And I'm just like, yo, I can't lie, that shit was funny as hell. So he kind of like broke me out of my shell, man. I never thought I would actually like talk to somebody like that, but he was cool as fuck. And like, he just was reading everybody, like, and I was just laughing, you know. And then he asked me, so who you like here? And I was like, man, I don't like none of these niggas. And he was like, oh, but I heard so-and-so, won't you? And I'm like, yeah, but I ain't trying to get into all that, man. I'm not going to be here long. That's just too much. He was like, but that's a good look. And I'm like, nah, you know. He was like, I could see y'all talking, and he was like, yeah, he your speed, and he hard, and everybody, he had a reputation. And I was like, I feel you, you know what I'm saying? So we walked around or whatever case may be. I went back, got on my bunk. So the next day, the dude comes over to me and he asked me what's up, and I'm like, what's up, man? And he like, yo, nothing. He was like, yo, you my type. And I was like, oh, for real? He was like, you remind me of my dude who just left here. I was like, for real? I was like, you was with somebody who just left? He was like, yeah, you know, he left, and we was talking, and he was like, it really messed me up. And he was like, everybody who I like, they always end up leaving before anything can happen. And I was like, damn. And he was like, yeah, but he was like, yo, I fuck with you, I like you. And I was like, that's what's up. You know what I'm saying? And he asked me what I do. You know, I told him I'm doing movies. I'm a, you know, producer, and I'm out here filming a movie. I told him my whole situation. You know, he told me he could sing. And I was like, what? You can sing? I was like, oh, I do music too. He was like, yeah, I sing, and I did all this on the house. And I was like, so that was the thing that really made me like connect with him. When he was like, he could sing, I was like, well, let me hear you sing something. And when I tell you, he sung, and like, dude's voice was amazing. Like, he sounded like Joe or somebody. Like, his voice was so dope, and so like, it was like a masculine singer. Like, I was like, wow, man, you really got something. You know, he was like, yeah, man, when I get out, I'm gonna try to pursue it and stuff like that. And I was like, wow. The thing about dude though, you know, the more I talked to him, I realized he was just a regular person. He had talent, he had dreams and ambitions or whatever, but his tooth was missing. I asked him what happened to his tooth. He said that it got knocked out while he was fighting. I was like, damn. Like, I was like, damn, you know. But he could really sing, and, you know, I was like, okay, this dude cool. I know y'all thinking like, damn, am I gonna, you know, talk to him, whatever the case may be. But this is what happened. I'm just keeping it real with y'all. So he asked me if I took a shower, and I was like, nah, man, I ain't trying to take no shower in here, because I seen like when you take a shower, all these other dudes come follow in the shower. You know, they be taking showers trying to look at you naked and stuff like that. So I said, nah. He was like, you ain't took a shower in a day? I was like, nah, man, I'm good. He was like, if you want to take a shower, I'll watch the shower for you and make sure nobody comes in while you in it. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I got you. And I was like, okay, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, well, let me get my towel and stuff like that. So I went and got my towel and my soap, and I went in the shower, and he stood guard at the shower and wouldn't let nobody. And I mean, people tried. I seen people, you know, getting their stuff. When they see somebody, everybody paying attention to everything. So when they see somebody they're attracted to going into the shower, that's their time to go in, look at some jack off and, you know, do their thing while they're in the shower. So everybody was looking at me since I got in there, so they was probably waiting for that. He still guarded at the door, and, you know, people was coming like they trying to, you know, with their towels, like they trying to come in, and he was like, nah, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all gotta wait. And they was like, you know, and he was like, my boy in the shower. So I took a shower, you know, facing the other way. I still had my underwear on, but I washed up, and he guarded me the whole time. And I was like, yo, that's what's up. So I see the perks of having, you know, this type of dude, you know, liking you. You know what I'm saying? It was some perks in it. You know, every day I was there, he called me over to eat. I ate with them and things like that. We talked, but we fell out. Now, the reason why we fell out, we was talking or whatever the case may be. And I was asking him some more things about himself, and he was telling me things. And I asked him, you know, what you in here for? And he was like, I smoke crack. And I was like, what? Like, bruh, when I tell you, I was like, you smoke crack? Like, I would have never thought old boy smoked crack. He was like, yeah. And I was like, no, man. I was like, what you doing smoking crack? And he was like, explaining his story, how he started smoking crack and this. And I was like, nah, man. I was like, nah, I just... you gonna have to stop that. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I could never talk to a nigga who smoke crack. That's like a whole nother level of some shit. You know what I'm saying? And we started talking and talking. I wasn't judging him, but I was just like, man, you gotta get yourself off the crack. I was trying to, like, you know, I was like, are you done with it? He was like, I'm done because I'm in here, but you know, I still have the urge to smoke it. And I was like, nah, bro, you gotta stop that. You got talent. Like, you know, you got so much more for you. You don't even look like that type of person. Like, I was like, maybe it's a blessing you being in here, you know. And, you know, we started talking, and I pretty much said that I'm not like everybody else in here. He took offense to that. He was like, but you in here like everybody else. And I was like, so what? I'm still not like these niggas. Like, man, I got shit going for myself. Like, I'm not on crystal meth. I don't smoke crack. I'm not no, you know, I just was going down the whole line. And he really opened up my eyes and made me realize some things, man. You know, I never really admitted it, but, you know, he was like, don't judge nobody. You know, he was like, you just like everybody else. You gay just like us. And I was just like trying to separate my gayness from, I was like, yeah, but I'm not gay like y'all. You know what I'm saying? Y'all on some other shit. And he was like, you judging us all. Like, and I was like, man, get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't give a fuck what you think. So we got into it. He was like, well, I don't give a fuck what you think. And we really was like head to head. Like, I was like, well, fuck you, nigga. Like, nigga, I don't even got to talk to you. He was like, well, that's fine. And I was like, well, cool, nigga. So I walked away, went back to my bunk. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, fuck that nigga. So, you know, a couple hours later, he came back and he was like, yo, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, you know, for shit going like that. You know, I just, you know, I don't want you thinking you better than everybody else and this and that. And I was like, yeah, I understand, man. I do understand. We all in the same situation. I don't have no right to look down on nobody else in their situation because we all the same in some type of way. You know what I'm saying? But what I was saying, I'm different. I'm just like, I just always felt like I'm different, you know, but we worked it out or whatever the case may be, and we ended up cool again. So I was only in there for like 4 days. This all happened in the span of 4 days. So the last day after we got cool, this is when shit was about to go down. Like, he invited me over to his bunk. He had the bottom bunk, and, you know, the boy who said he liked me but can't talk to me because his bunkie big was on the top bunk. So it was late night. He asked me to come over to his bunk, and he put the sheets up. Now, you know, when you put them sheets up, something about to go down. I seen the sheets up. I seen people creeping in the sheets. I seen people jacking off in the sheets. Fucking, you know, they put the sheets up on each side of the bunk so can't nobody see what's going on. So he put the sheets up. And we both was in his bunk. And we was talking, and then he leaned in to kiss me. So I kissed the nigga with no teeth, with no tooth. And it was just like, in my head, I was just like, yo, I don't know what is about to happen. It was just, after he kissed me, And we were sitting there, and I seen him, getting aroused and getting the hard on and all these things. And, in my mind, I was just thinking, like, how am I going to get out of this situation? Like, I can't let this go down. Like, I'm not about to do this in a jail cell with some sheets, with a dude who smoked crack with no teeth. And, and I don't mean to be so judgmental, but it just wasn't my thing. I entertained it because I was there, but it was just like, nah, this is not what I want to do. And in that moment, they called my name, and he was like, he looked at me and he was like, I could see the hurt and sadness in his eyes and in his face. And he was like, you about to go home? And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah. He was like, the same thing happened with my other dude. And I was like, the fact that he was saying my other dude was like a whole nother thing. Like, dude, I'm not your dude. But he was like, yeah, the same thing happened to me before, man. Every time I get into somebody, they always end up leaving. And I was like, nah, I don't think I'm going home. They might just want to. He was like, you going home. They called me again. We pulled down the sheets. I went up there and they told me to rack it up. You know what I'm saying? And I immediately went back to my bunk and started, wrapping up my mat and getting all my things or whatever the case may be. And he was just so quiet and sad, just looking at me. And he was like, I didn't know what to say to him for real. I was just like, yeah, man. He was like, yeah. I was like, man, I'm about to get out here, finish doing this movie, do my thing, He asked me for my information and my address and stuff because he said he wanted to write me. He said, he don't know when he getting out. I was like, really? He was like, nah, I don't know. I go to court in a couple months, but I don't know when I'm getting out. And I was like, okay. So I gave him my address to my mother's house, and he actually wrote me. I remember going back home to visit, and she gave me the mail, and she was like, yeah, somebody wrote you or whatever. And I was like, what? And I seen it, and it was him. He was giving me his brother's number and his mom's number and all these things to keep in contact with him. But that was just something that I never would have been able to really put my all into. So I didn't even really want to entertain it as if it was something that I could do. I just know for me that I wanted something different and something more than just that situation. But that experience, being locked up, they let me out because, of course, Cleveland was too cheap to come all the way to LA to get me. I guess they figure, we'll catch him when he get back to Ohio. But that experience did teach me something. I was coming in there very judgmental and looking at people like I'm better than them. They was on crystal meth and drugs and, sex workers and prostitutes and transgenders and transsexuals. But at the end of the day, we all did have something in common. The fact that we all were, gay, you know what I'm saying? And we were all in that place at the same time. It just made me look at things a lot differently, and that was a valuable lesson that I learned, and I'm glad that I did learn it. I learned not to judge as much, we all going through something, no matter who you are or where you come from or what situation you've been in, we all going through something. And no, I may not be able to relate to what you're going through, but what I can relate to is that we all human, But yeah, that's how I almost got pretty much taken. Like, I just say taken because it wasn't going to happen. If he would have tried to go too far, I would have definitely been like, nah, man, I can't do this here. I would have definitely said that. But it also made me look at him differently. I was judging him because he was a crackhead or you know, a crack user. But he had so much more to him, you know what I'm saying, that I learned when I was talking to him for, you know, the couple days that we talked. He was very talented, could sing, and he had a story, and he had a heart. You know, he protected me in some type of ways. He cared for me, you know, inviting me over to eat the breakdowns and watching me while I was, you know, in the shower. You know, I remember him making a beat. Somebody was making a beat and he was singing outside the shower, and he sung to me like over and over again. It was really sweet. But that experience did teach me a lot. I don't know if I would go back to another gay pod if anything happened. Of course, I don't have any warrants or anything like that now, but it was definitely an experience, and I'll never forget it. But that's my story time, man. If you like that story, man, you know, hit the like button, comment, let me know. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy, I know, but, you know, I had to share that with my people. Holla at your boy, I'm out.